Okay, in today's manicure, we're going to try this new product, Active Bright. So I think we're gonna do 1 or 2 coats. We'll see how it looks. And this doesn't need a base coat and doesn't need a top coat. It's meant to be used as like a very quick 1 or 2 coats. So I'm going to do a dry manicure like I usually do. Okay, in case you are wondering what's happening with this nail, I'm going to tell you there's nothing to worry about. So there is a white spot, but it's actually not on the surface because as I'm running this little stick, I can feel that there was no roughness in the surface. Sometimes these white spots happen on the very surface and then the surface is really rough, and that means there is some surface damage. Usually it's due to extended polish wear or sometimes acrylics gels, or sometimes rough removal, but sometimes these spots happen inside of the nail. So basically the nail is made of layers, approximately 80 layers or so, and sometimes there is a minor trauma that happens to this area where the nail is forming, and the layers for some reason just do not bond properly, and there was a little bit of air, and this is why the nail plate is not translucent anymore, but it's white in this area. So it's just going to grow out, and sometimes you can pay attention to when this grows out, you'll see that the nail might peel a little bit. So not a big deal, this just happens due to a minor trauma. It's not a lack of any vitamins or anything like that, it's just a little trauma. And now I used 240 grit, which is quite fine, but still the edge is not very smooth. So this is the best way of just smoothing the free edge, is grabbing a buffer and then just running the buffer along the edge, which bevels the free edge and it just makes it feel so much better, and nothing catches then. So I highly recommend doing this. And this way you actually can exfoliate some of the hard skin as well. That way you can actually use pretty much any grit. You don't have to use anything that's super fine. This is 150 grit. This is quite coarse. You can still use it. Nothing is going to happen. It's just maybe not as comfortable. Perfect. It's important to be very gentle around this area. So I don't actually soften the skin around the nails when I'm doing this, because I just don't want artificially to kind of swell the skin. I'm just going as far as the skin lets me anyway. And so if that area is stuck, so if the skin fold is stuck to the nail excessively, then just do this once every few days, and eventually the skin is going to shrink. And obviously take care of the skin around the nails, so then the skin is going to be more elastic and it's going to sit nicely around the nails. So this removes the cuticle. So I nudged back the skin fold, which that exposed the cuticle. And now I'm going just to remove the cuticle, because once we apply the polish over cuticle, it's going to start peeling. So the nail has to be nice and clean for the nail polish to go on. And obviously I'm doing this dry because I have a lot of experience with electric file. But if you're doing this yourself, I highly recommend just using a cuticle remover and just putting some of it on the nail plate, not on the skin, on the nail plate, because the cuticle is on the nail plate, and just removing it that way. I have many videos on how to do this. But always remember, the goal for a manicure is progress, not perfection. And sometimes, you know, it just takes time. Okay. That flake was a little stubborn, but we got it. And I'm not gonna go further. I don't wanna abrade the skin. Sometimes they need to be trimmed if they're going to tear further, these little pieces. But I really try not to do any trimming, because I find when you trim, that skin hardens up in that area, and then it's like a consistent problem. So sometimes you have to, but if I don't have to, then I prefer to just use the file to exfoliate gently. And it's best to use a lot of creams. Okay, this I'm gonna trim to let the skin heal. It's important to wipe the nails with either pure acetone or like 99% alcohol. and not nail polish remover, because nail polish remover very often has some oils, has glycerin, and those things prevent the nail polish from bonding to the nail properly, and that's why you might experience peeling of the nail polish from the nail. So don't use nail polish remover unless you see the ingredients and they are just solvents and there is no like conditioning ingredients. So I'm going to do 2 thinner coats so this dries well. This is like a very light milky color with a hint of blue. And I had a few people mention that it's barely there, like it's not visible. And some people like it, some people don't. I actually like it because it just adds a tiny bit of shine to the nail. Yeah, it looks gorgeous, wow. But it's not going to, so let's say if you are not very good at applying polish, this is not, shouldn't be streaky. So if you're a beginner, I think this is a good polish to use. Because some polishes that are sheer, they tend to streak if you don't apply them very evenly. This kind of gives me that glazed look kind of vibe. Very nice. And there is a huge reason why I don't speed up my videos when it comes to painting the nails. So I was saying, okay, this is dry. This is really good, really good. So the reason why I don't speed up my videos and I show like a full application of the polish usually is because it's important to really have a control over the brush and polish slowly, because I think there are often people just kind of, they learn to apply it very quickly because they see it on, you know, on Instagram and stuff, and then they hit the skin and they have a lot to clean up. Just take your time with polishing. So 2 thinner coats are always better than 1 thick one for many reasons. They dry better, you have a better control over the nail polish. You're not going to flood the skin with it. So for people who wear nail polish all the time, I really do recommend taking the polish off after about 6 days. Even though it lasts a long time, I really do recommend taking it off after 6 days. And then applying oil throughout the day, because then the oil actually has a chance to penetrate the nail plate a little bit better. And that break from nail polish seems to be helping preventing nail surface damage. I don't know why that is, but I find when people take breaks, just 1-2 days after, you know, having it on for 5 days, it really makes a difference. Doing a warm oil soak, using some sort of treatments, It really helps. So I'm gonna let it dry 2 minutes, and I think it's going to be enough. We'll see how they look in 2 minutes. Okay, so this is almost 2 minutes, and you know what, it's pretty dry. So I'm going to apply the oil. So this is really good. I mean, if you are applying a little bit thicker coats, I would say 3 minutes maybe, maximum 5.